Today we have Sara Habetz, who is the owner and mastermind behind the best fitness studio in New Orleans, Louisiana, Haus Fitness. Welcome, Sara, to the show.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
Amazing. Well, so Sara, why don't you tell everyone, like, who is Sara Habetz? And also, who was Sara Habetz before the business?
Oh, that's a loaded question. Sara Habetz. I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana, so born and raised in Louisiana. I've been in New Orleans almost about 10 years now. This is definitely home for the foreseeable future. I love it here so much. I am a bold personality that loves to move. I love community. I love exploring the world. And I love deeply. So putting all those things together to be able to build my own business over the past 2 years, we've officially been open the past year, but in the build up phase has been a dream come true. Before Hype House, Sara was a different person. I say that to so many people. Like there are times I've had to catch myself because I don't even recognize the new me. The old me was in education for a very long time. Fitness was always the side hustle. That's kind of the reason it's propelled me into doing entrepreneurship full time in fitness. But I was in the public school system, I was in the private school system, just a very rigid routine since I was literally in pre-K, from pre-K to the age of like 32 years old, I was living my life bell to bell.
Oh my gosh.
Essentially, and it got to the point where it was just too much. And long story short, your girl quit, just I had to. And that leap of faith has definitely led me to so much beauty on the other side. And I'm happy to dive into that.
No, I love that. And Sara, I've known you now for a few years now, which is wild, and met you while you were still working your corporate job, and we kind of bonded over our
Oh yeah, there was
hate of
trauma
our
bonding
corporate job.
between us to the max. I think that's why we became so close, is because everything I would say or you would say, and it was always me too, but in the worst way possible.
Yep. Yeah.
It was I hate that you know what I'm feeling, but me too.
Oh, completely. And it was just so funny because we were in completely different career paths, but we're just feeling that same thing inside of us where we knew that we were meant for more. And I feel like that there are so many people out there who do have that deep feeling, but they're just terrified of actually taking the leap.
Yeah, 100%. I actually remember one of my best friends, Kate, maybe several years ago. I had been in education a hot minute, and she was in education in a different parish outside of Baton Rouge. And I remember her kind of coming to us one day and I was in my groove with education at the time. I wasn't completely pissed off yet. And she came to us and was kind of like, y'all, I think I'm going to get an out. I'm meant for more. And I kind of almost took a step back and it was I'm mildly, I don't want to say the word insulted because comparing it to what I was what I'm doing is not enough.
Right.
And I kind of was it just raised an eyebrow, know? And then I started seeing people slowly leave education. And then the problems just started multiplying.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, girl, I'm right there with you. I am meant for more. I am so meant for more. So
no, that's so fair. Cause I remember even leaving my corporate job, my engineering job, when I was telling everyone that I was leaving, you could tell that there was a little bit of judgment, right? Oh my gosh, you're leaving this, stable job. What are you going to go do? Everyone was kind of supportive, but not really, backhanded supportedness.
Backhand supportiveness. Exactly. It's but the why? The insurance is great. And you're in my education field, you're off of work at 2:50 or 3:15. And that doesn't come often. And why would you leave this? And you're able to have a family with this job and you have summers off and you got to outweigh.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Tell everyone a little bit about what you've created here in New Orleans, just what you've built.
So essentially Haus Fitness is a boutique fitness studio downtown New Orleans, right in the heart of the CBD, not too far from the Superdome. Great location. But we are a community-driven good time. We have 5 different types of classes. We are not just an indoor cycling class. A lot of people tend to think that. That is definitely one of our specialties and one of our biggest modalities. But we do have 4 other types of classes as well, ranging in cardio classes, strength training, even recovery classes such as abs and stretch. And we've recently added a private infrared sauna for recovery in the back of the house. And then all of that kind of coming together, we've cultivated not only a team, but a community of people that to their core are just hype. They're nice, they're kind, they show up for themselves, for each other. They want to be there. And I kind of tell people, I'm like, the good just trickles to the good and the good
Yep.
keeps on giving. And it has been a beautiful thing to witness. And I always say, I'm like, I have the best seat in the house just to be able to watch what is growing. And yes, I did start this, but it's not a one woman show for sure. It's the people that come in and they want to stay and they want to bring their friends and their friends want to bring their friends. And it has been awesome to kind of rewrite how the fitness industry can operate, because not sure if you're too familiar with it, but there kind of can be a little bit of snootiness with it at times, a little toxicity at times, a little competitiveness at times. And I will give my community and my team all the praise. We deal with zero of that.
Yep.
Zero. So the forefront of our mission is be nice. Be nice.
No, I love that. I
Please.
love that. And you can really tell there's a reason. So I found you a few years ago at a different studio.
Right.
And I remember going to the studio, and by the end, I was only going to your class. I was literally going to no one else's classes. I was just going to yours over and over again. Every single week, it was like standing date, going to Sarah's fitness class, and then followed you after that. And
With
so
the
you
margarita.
with the margarita, of course. But you just like do have this incredible ability, and you've been able to instill that in your team as well to really create some incredible energy just within the community. And it's crazy because I mean, I was there on opening day in 2023, and just seeing how everyone has progressed so much. Like I used to think I was like pretty decent, strong rider, but I'm always traveling, so I'm not there all the time. But now coming back and I'm like, everyone else is way better than me at this point.
Right. And that's not even what it's about at all.
Yeah.
But the fact that we have built a brand where people have come in and just given me and my team and our lead instructor, Daniel, just full reins to coach them,
Yeah.
to trust us, like they've leaned into just following our lead and allowing us to teach them things. And they've just like dove in with us, and that's the special part. It's like, yeah, we can come together and all have fun and change lives, but like they are growing as students. I'm growing as a coach. I'm growing in so many different areas of the business, and we're all doing it together. And it's like you can see the success and you can feel the success simultaneously, which is like the cherry on top.
I love that. So I guess what have you always wanted to open up a fitness studio? Has that always been a dream of yours or not really?
It always lived in my mind.
Yeah.
I would say yes. I've been in fitness. I think this is going on year 14 or 15. I need to do the math, but I've always had that leadership mentality. I've always played that role in different avenues and different side hustles and things like that. I knew I had that grit in me, but also on the flip end of that, I definitely was comfortable in my education role with, at the time, summers off,
Yeah.
good insurance. And I would say now looking back, fear holds everyone back, right? I think we can all agree on that so much. It's like, as an educator, I wasn't rolling in the dough. So it's like, what am I going to do if failure happens?
Yeah.
Not like, let's confidently take this leap of faith, right? So it was kind of like, meh, I'm good. I mean, my side hustles were involved in the fitness industry, even here in New Orleans, and they were such beautiful experiences as well. So I was like, I like where I teach. I'm
Yeah.
genuinely happy. I was able to leave my toxic 8 to 3 teaching job and go be happy. And that was my fulfillment, right? But throughout that time, I started to, I mean, when you do anything for 10 plus years and you get really good at something and it's fun to be good at things, right?
Right.
And then you start to kind of get this confidence and it's like, I am capable. You start to rewrite the script and say, I can. And then I had the push from my family, a little bit from my grandfather, my mom, a little bit. And so like that seed just kind of kept getting planted deeper and deeper until no one can do it for you, right? It's like
Completely.
ultimately your decision and your name on the dotted line. So when push comes to shove, I was like, how much am I going to put up with? And how much is my life going to be consumed in negativity? Because something's got to give. So
Totally. And I know we've both kind of talked about the fact that, before we left our corporate jobs, we were both incredibly negative, which is not us, like
not,
in
I
any
was
way, shape, or
awful.
form. Yeah.
I was awful. It's hard to say Olivia Tati was ever awful because I don't think that's like, that just doesn't go in the same sentence, but like awful,
Yeah. But
awful.
the thing is like I didn't even necessarily see you as awful, right? But like now I see the comparison, just like the
Yeah.
joy that's behind you, right? And like you just have the strong mission now, which is such a huge,
Yeah, like,
difference.
it was just like our lives were just consumed in negativity and complaining.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no one wants to be around that. And I didn't realize it 100% until I kind of started getting out of that and shifting my focus to where I was around other people that were doing the same. And I realized, like, whoa, that is a lot to take on. And of course, I want to be that sounding board for other people. And like, I know different reasons why people come to a gym in the first place. But there are times where I was like, oh my God, it's so unpleasant, right? I mean,
Yeah.
throughout this year that I was building the business, it was my wedding year. And I was coming in hot and heavy every day. And it got to the point where my fiance at the time was just like, girl, like I was at 100 of just angst at all times. And
Yeah.
that's not me. That's not me,
No.
especially for a low paying job.
Oh my gosh, no, completely. And so, you kind of did take the leap of faith. What has it been like building a business? Like, what are some of the big differences between your life before versus your life now?
I think the biggest thing, which is probably the most obvious, is getting used to that non rigid routine.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was like bell to bell, minute to minute. I've never not woken up with an alarm at the same time every single day forever. And don't get it twisted. I'm still like in my 12 to 15-hour day hustle right now. We just hit a year. So like that is there. But I can sleep in on Tuesdays without an alarm and I can go get lunch with a friend for the first time in my entire life. And I know this sounds crazy, but like a year and a half ago, I'd get reprimanded for having my cell phone in my hand.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, it's crazy. And now I'm like literally boss girl taking phone calls whenever I want. And it sounds so crazy, but I'm like, y'all, I lived in a bunker, I guess. And so just adapting and really owning, like, I'm building something that is mine and I can make the calls in my life.
Yeah.
And there shouldn't be guilt associated with that for the first time ever. Like the flexibility is just, it's taken me a good year to really lean into that. I'm
Mhm.
still not there. And I think I have
Yeah.
a lot of work to do. But that has been the biggest difference and the biggest blessing. Like truly, like Trader Joe's at 11 a.m. if I really need to. Say less. Spending time with my dogs if I need to, while I'm also working if I need to. Like such a big blessing.
No, completely. And it's so funny that you said about like getting reprimanded about your phone, because I just remembered even when I was like on the offshore oil and gas platforms, a lot of the times like you're just not supposed to have your phone, and there's other reasons for it, but like yeah, it's like you'd always like feel like you're sneaking things on or
Yeah.
sneaking things away. It's just like why, like as
I don't want to
adults,
be
why
sneaky.
are we doing this?
I don't want to be sneaky. And like I got like an email about it, and it
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
Miss Habetz, like, we saw you on your phone within like 30 minutes of me being on my phone. They're like, if it happens again, a little write up. And then it did happen again, which I'm like, okay, sorry. But and like I got a little slip of paper in my mailbox and it was so passive aggressive. And I'm like, what do people like? I don't have children, but I'm like, there are times where people do need to tend to matters.
Yes.
So we circumnavigated around that. And that's when I started holding just my laptop in my hand all day at school while I was building the business. And it looked like I was just like doing grades or assessments. And I wasn't doing any of that actually. I was just applying for loans and
Yep.
building my business plan.
I feel like that's when you know, like, it's time to cut the ties, because I was doing the same on the offshore oil and gas platforms. I would always have, like, my personal computer and my work computer because I wasn't allowed to get into my personal email on my work computer, and I would just have my, like, personal computer on
Yeah.
top of my work computer, just be doing all
Yep.
the things that I needed to do, which is so wild.
Yeah,
Like,
I
literally
know.
thinking back to it, I'm like, "Oh my
Yeah, I see the trauma bonding happening all over again.
gosh." Okay, so tell me too. So you've always been, something that we both bond on is you've always been a big traveler as well. So
Yes.
tell me a little bit about how you traveled before, kind of how that's transitioned a little bit now as well as a business owner too.
For sure. So I think we kind of touched on this a little earlier, but obviously one of the perks of being an educator is the holidays off, is the summer breaks, but that does come at an expense, right? It's not like traveling the world is cheap by any means, but that was my priority. That was my mission, was to see the world with the people I love the most, with my husband now at the time and my best friend. That was just like that was our thing. We kind of had a rule where it's like, I mean, we all had the same schedule. My best friend was also in education. And so for the same district. So we kind of had a rule like if you saw a flight internationally for less than $600, you just booked it and like Venmo requested the other person.
I love that.
And so like that's let us, I mean, it's scary at the time, but like, you hear people all the time like, I'm so jealous of your travels and this and that. And you just got to do it. But my job time frame did allow for that. And where I spent my finances that was my priority. So without kids, without owning a home at the time, I didn't have dogs at the time. Like it was just easy for
Yeah.
us. That's,
Yeah.
not easy for everybody, but we kind of got the bug, quote unquote, let's say 2012 ish was 2010 ish, give or take, was probably the first couple of trips I took internationally, and my eyes were just opened. And I
Oh
know you can
yeah.
relate to that. And it was just like, wow, the world, and I think the first time I went out of the country was with my dad to Central America. We went to Belize. My dad passed away 9 years ago. So that was very special to me to be able to do that with him, my first trip. And then another work avenue led me to a trip in London to supervise a group of kids, ironically kids. And then from there it was like, all right, well, we're free in June and July if we want to be. So like let's check off 10 countries this summer, and it just kind of happened and it kind of became this like Beanie Baby style. Let's get to all the countries,
Yep. Yep.
and you did it. And 10 years later, my passport was full before it expired. And that was just such like an accomplishment because little old teacher, I just prioritized it. And it's led to some spectacular moments in my life and getting engaged in Iceland and just being able to see the world. But now that has most certainly come to, I would say, a halt.
Just a little bit.
A little bit. I'm still very fortunate. Last year was year one of the business, and I was able to sneak away not once but twice, and I'm very, very blessed for that. We were able to take my in-laws out of the country for the first time. They had never been to Europe, and we took them on a little family heritage trip to Oktoberfest, Germany, and then we snuck away for a couple days to celebrate me and my best friend's 10-year of friendship anniversary to Ireland. That was really special. And guess what? The business didn't burn down.
Yeah.
The stress levels were very high, but that comes with the territory. That's my baby and that's expected, but it's also a blessing to be able to step away. And I was that's how I knew I wanted to go into this avenue with my life because I was like, traveling is going to stop.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah.
For now. It's not forever. And the crazy thing is I was very okay with that. And I never thought I'd come to terms with that because traveling to me was always an escape, always something to look forward to. I think that's why we had so many trips planned all the time because I hated my day to day. I always
Yep.
had to have something to look forward to. And now I'm like, oh, I look forward to Hype House every day. I'm
Totally.
good.
Okay, so I want to unpack. There's like so much to unpack there, so we're gonna go back. So the first thing that I love that you said is that for you at the time, traveling was that escape. So there was
Yeah.
that need to really get away, and that's kind
Yeah.
of like what alcohol was for me in the past a lot of
Sure.
the time. And it's crazy how when you finally start doing something that you really enjoy, like you actually enjoy your day to day, you don't
Yeah.
feel the need to escape as much anymore.
Exactly. I don't want to it's like not like traveling was ever negative,
No,
It's like,
no.
right. So it's like I loved it, but it definitely was a crutch. like just
Totally.
to get by. Like I had to have those special moments to like latch onto and create memories. Also, like I want to see the world and I want to explore other cultures. Like it's such a weird thing because there's nothing negative about traveling, but like I became very dependent on having to have something to look forward to. Like, and then on the top of that, the vacation blues were
Yep.
so hard all the time. My friends, my husband have seen me like at my lowest because I've come back from a trip and I'm like, I'm so upset that I have to wake up and go teach children.
No, complete, and it is crazy because even I think about now, like I remember, like last year, for example, I spent 3 months in Portugal, which was amazing. But I was like ready to come home. I was like, okay, we're ready to go. I'm ready to sit down, get some work done, like
Work
really power
done.
through, build whatever I'm building. And it's just like I never had that feeling when I was in corporate America. I
Yeah,
was like, no, let me stay longer, please.
exactly. Like you hit the nail on the head perfectly because I would leave school and that was it. I would actually try to leave school early. Let's not forget about those extra 5 minutes I tried to sneak out early. I would always try to leave school early. And that is just not me. I mean, it's so funny. But that was it. Work was done. There was no purpose or passion once I left the building, right?
Yeah,
And now I'm like, oh, there's purpose and passion. So when I'm not at my business currently, I'm like, I want to be there.
completely.
I want
And
to be there.
so I also love that you said, your mission before was to travel the world, and even you were working a teacher salary and still was able to do it. And I tell this to people all the time. It's like if you actually deep down that that is something you want to do, you're
Yep.
gonna make it happen.
Make it
Like
happen.
we all are making choices every single day in terms of what we want to pay for. I remember like I got to 50 countries by the time I turned 25. But I went into a crap ton of credit card debt to do it just because
True. Yes.
I'm not going to, not advocating that anyone do it. This was just like Olivia. I like to like take extremes sometimes, you know, and got
We've
it all
witnessed
paid off.
this.
Don't worry. But that was like my biggest priority at the time was literally to hit 50 countries. That's all I
A
wanted to do. There was
absolutely.
nothing else. And it's like when that is at the forefront, when that is something you prioritize, you're going to do it. Like,
And it became my routine for a while
mhm.
too. I mean, like, we always know Thanksgiving break is coming up. We always
Yep.
know Christmas break is coming up. We always know spring break is coming up. We always know summer's coming up. So it was like the perpetual cycle of me living my life on Google Flights. I vividly remember when we took the transition from like hostel life to Airbnb life too. That was a glow up in
Yep.
our travel
Oh
experience.
my gosh.
It was like, I'm
Oh,
done wearing
completely.
flip-flops in a hostel or in the
Like, no more
shower.
bunk beds, please. No
No
more
more
bunk
bunk
beds.
beds, no more shoes when I shower. I'm like, we're in our late 20s. Let's treat ourselves. But yes, there were also other side hustles and avenues that I did to make it happen.
Completely. So, yeah,
You
I
know?
guess, let's take it back. So, tell me about some of those side hustles that you used to do.
So, like I said, fitness has definitely been around, but I grew up in the world of cheerleading, competitive cheerleading, college cheerleading, met a lot of my best friends through that, best friends that are still by my side to this day. And that led us to teaching predominantly summer camps around not only the state, but the country and even internationally as well. So within a short time frame, me and my best friends kind of climbed this quick little ladder where we became in charge of these big summer camps. Say, like for example, like at LSU, we're running camps of like 800 kids and their coaches. So it's education for coaches as well and instruction for the campers. And we're in charge of these staff, anywhere from like 20 to 25 staff members. And we rode that wave for a very long time. And that led us to many opportunities to one, see the world a little bit, which was great to get paid to do that. They sent us to Australia for a month one time. We met some of our other best friends through that, which is fantastic. Just how traveling and something you love brings people together. And like that's a bond that can't be broken. So that specific job is something that people typically only stick with for a couple of years because it is a summer job. So when people graduate college, they're unable to work in the summer. But if you're a teacher,
Yeah.
you have the flexibility to kind of BYO schedule. So we kind of stuck around and we were with the company for 15 years.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I just cut ties when Hype House came into fruition. So it was awesome. For us specifically, side money means more travel.
Yeah. No, completely. And so I want to kind of go into the first, it's been a year and a bit now since you've been full-time entrepreneur, and you went the route of a brick and mortar business. Like, you've got a physical location. Like, so, what are some of the challenges, and also what are some of the benefits that you see with having that kind of a business?
Well, that's a loaded question. In regard to like having, I mean, it was a non-negotiable for us having a physical studio,
Yeah.
right? Now that we're past the COVID everything, people ask me all the time, like, did you want to start with like an on-demand platform, all these things?
Mhm.
And I'm like, we're just going to dive in. Let's just we're doing it, right? We started the business physically in my living room. It was the original Hype house. And we had bikes in the living room. And that kind of just led to us looking for the right property. And one of my first mentors I was talking to, and I was like, when's the right time to start looking for property? And as I'm talking to a real estate agent, he was like, now is always the right time to start looking for property. And this was like a year and a half out. And
Yep.
he was like, now is the time. He's like,
Yep.
and I was like, really? My eyes were opened and I just started learning so much about the process. And I'm so glad I listened,
Yep.
because properties continuously fell through that I invested so much time in. And I ended up landing on the third space, which was a blessing in disguise. But at the time, just time takes time.
Yep.
Time takes so much time, and going through construction deals and architect deals and transformations and people having to make things happen. But all in all, like having physical studio and the space that we need for our business is just, I mean, it's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we're only been open for a year, and people keep asking me about like the potential of location number 2, which not like yes and no, but I'm like, oh my God, I think we need a bigger space.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, all of the classes keep booking out.
I don't even want to say the phrase like it's a good problem, because I don't want the word problem associated with it. It's just like a
100%.
blessing. There's a solution to everything. We add more classes.
Okay, I love that also that you said that you don't like the word problems being associated with it. Like, what are some types of like self-talk things that you do or that you've changed like over the couple of years?
That is one of them. I noticed myself saying like, it's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have. And I'm like, it's not a problem. There's a solution for everything.
Yeah, I
Um,
love that.
Other things I tell myself, I used to truly, when I was building the business, I know this sounds so cheesy, but it is the honest to God truth. I would wake up before I went to school, I would look in the mirror and say, you are smart. You are smart. You're not stupid. You are smart. You are capable of figuring it out. And
Yeah.
I didn't really know what it was, but I would talk to my other entrepreneur friends and I'm like, but what if this? What if that? What if this? And they're like, I'm so type A, if you can't tell already. I like to plan. That's why we get along so great. We like to plan. We like to do all these things. And I was trying to plan for the speed bumps. And you have to take the speed bumps as they come,
Yep.
and you make them as big as you create them, right? And it's like, you really will figure it out. I know it's only been a year and I have so much more to learn and continue to learn, but I'm like, I think through this process of being able to figure it out has taught me just self-confidence.
Completely. And so, this is something that I see with so many like successful entrepreneurs. You just got to have this delusional confidence. Like, and
Oh,
the
fake
thing
it till you
is
make it.
yeah, well, and it's like but the thing is like you're not even faking it. It's just like at the end of the day, like deep
Yeah, you're right.
down,
I'm really doing
you
it.
are so capable. Like
Yep.
you have survived so much from
Yeah.
the womb to where you are
Yeah.
at now.
I've
you
been saying that
know?
in my classes. I'm like, just because it's hard doesn't mean you haven't already been prepped for these moments.
Completely. Well, and so I love so part of the reason why I love being around you is like you don't necessarily like force people to be better or anything. You just hold yourself to a high standard. And you
Yeah,
like
it's such a
your
compliment.
presence just like, brings other people up as well. So I like literally remember this was when I was traveling for 6 months, about to go on a big trip, and I had like 12 classes that I'd done with Hype House, but I really wanted to get to 25 classes because that was like the first milestone to get to, right? And I remember I was leaving in literally a week and I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm going to get to 25 classes. That's like another 13 or 14 classes that I have to do in a week. That's impossible. And, Hype House classes, they're like, it's a lot of energy. It takes you out, it takes me out for
It
damn
takes
sure.
me out. Don't worry. You're not alone. You're never alone.
And then you just said like, well, so I remember you were like, oh, you should just do 2 classes a day then for this week. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, that sounds terrible. I'm not going to do 2 classes a day. That sounds so hard. And you literally just said, yeah, well, I mean, that's what I do every day. And I just remember my brain being like, huh, you're not wrong.
Oh my God, it was never in a like condescending way.
No, no, not at all. And I didn't even see it as a condescending way. I was like, wait a minute. Like, I literally remember walking away and thinking about it. I was like, yeah, she does do that every day.
Right.
And that, like, literally did a switch in my brain and was like,
Yeah, you
well,
can do it.
screw it. I'm going to do it too. Like, I'm
You
just
can
going to
do
freaking
it.
do it. And, like, the first class is hard. The second class and the third class are like, oh my gosh, my body is starting to
We're
hurt.
all hard, but like hard work is hard work,
Well, and it's just like
you know?
you will adapt. Like your
You will,
body is so capable, just as capable as your brain is. And we
right.
stretch them sometimes to go a little further than they're used to, but that's where growth happens. That's what
Absolutely.
pushes you and that's what gets you over the edge. And you realize you're not going to die at the end of it. You're going to be just
Absolutely.
fine.
And if you're struggling, you're not alone. And like that's the beautiful thing about like building a community and a safe space, right? Like there are going to be days where you come in and maybe feel like you're at an 80 or 90%. But like in reality, when you go to like execute and give your energy, you're just like not feeling it, right? Like you're at like a 10%, but that's okay. That's like admirable that you're still in this space.
Oh,
You know,
completely.
we always kind of say like we don't ever ask for your perfection. We just ask for your effort, whatever you're willing to give that day. So whether it's 10% or 80%, like we got you. We got you. So yes, it's hard, but that you're so right. Like that is where growth happens, even just by creating that routine of just showing up and getting in that habit, right? Like
Yeah.
so much comes from that.
Well, and it also just shows, like, I think part of the reason why the energy in there is always so good is like you guys are expanders, right? Like, I always like to put myself around other people who help expand you, right? And that's why I tell people, find mentors, get a coach, or just be around other people. And, like, being a fitness coach is the same thing, right? Like, you're putting yourself in a place where someone can help you expand and go further and further than you ever thought you were capable of.
Yeah, we got a great team of people that are doing just that, like these I don't take it lightly. These are people's lives,
Yeah.
This is where they choose to spend their time, their energy, their money. And I've always cared in the world of fitness about who my clients are, but now it's like this whole nother level of passion has come out of me. It's hard to give yourself credit, of course, but like I know that passion does exude and trickle into my team for them to be able to do the same thing, to give to others and help everyone else see the bigger picture and show up to 2 classes a day or help them meet their goals or whatever their goals may be. It's like pushing a little bigger, expanding a little more,
Yeah.
showing up for yourself a little bigger in however way that is. So yeah, you're so right.
No, completely. And that's like, it's so funny because I feel the difference too when I go to like my own solo workouts at the gym. I'm like, oh, I can just skip this. I'm like, I'm not going to finish that round. But then you go to, a workout class, you're like, no, you're finishing the whole thing. You're getting
Finishing it.
through it.
Absolutely. It's accountability to the max in like the best way possible. Like we're definitely not the gym that is boot camp, militant, shame style. But at the same time, it's like we've created this energy. And I don't ever want to say like non-negotiable, but like you've been in class
Yeah.
countless times, 50 plus, not you feel this energy that almost makes you become like truly a team member, right?
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
you want to perform, you want to do these things because the energy is so electric.
Yeah.
And it's like something comes over you where maybe it's a little bit of that delusional confidence we're talking about, right? But you can. So a lot of those kind of phrases and things we say in our coaching translate to the classes to help members just kind of kick it into high gear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Something that I also wanted to touch on. So I love that kind of change your self talk over the years because what people don't realize is the words that you're saying to yourself affect your reality. 100%. Like the intention behind the words that you're saying to yourself completely affect your reality.
Yeah, when I said I hate my life every day, guess what? I actually hated my life. Not all aspects. I have to be grateful for some of the things that were in place, but my day to day, I said I hate my life, and I know it sounds so dramatic because I don't want to discredit the beautiful parts of it, but like the parts I hated, and it made it so much worse
Yeah.
when I said that out loud or when I thought it continuously. It consumed me.
Yeah. No, completely. Because your thoughts really do shape your reality. And I remember even when I was working my corporate job, my friend and I would always say, life sucks, then you die. It's like, no, I don't want that to be my reality. Life
Whoa,
is
that's
fun.
deep.
And I know, right? But it was like, said so offhandish, like a joke kind of. But like, is it a joke? And you really have to think about the words that you're saying. And I'm like, that doesn't even come into my mind anymore,
And then you
ever,
die. No, now I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's my mindset has just completely 180'd for the most part. And my reality is just truly, I'm like, I'm in an alternate universe with where my mind is at compared to where it was. I definitely have a lot of work to continue to do.
Yeah. What's something you're struggling with right now?
I definitely think in the season of growth, being able to step back in any regard. So, I mean, I'm tired as all get out, but it's like it's not a complaint.
Mhm.
I when I say I'm tired, I'm like I want people to know I'm happy to show up for my business. Like I, genuinely the 12 to 16-hour days. I'm like PSA, it is not complaining, but struggling to take those steps to put things in place for me to take a break. I haven't
Yeah.
had a day off in I don't even know how long. And so I'm definitely struggling with where to, I don't want to say lead the team because they are they are great people. Like I tell them to do something and they fall in place, like they are just so extraordinary in that regard. But like I don't know what I don't know, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So I don't know if struggle is the right word, but just continuing to dive in. Like I feel before we kind of had this big spike in busyness, I had a little more time to be on the admin side, which I love admin work, which is wild. Just to continue to enroll myself in courses and connect with other people. And now in this season of busyness, and that's going to ebb and flow. I'm totally aware of that, but we've been quite busy for some time to be able to like put the entrepreneurship mind on
Yeah.
and continue to grow for my team so I can step back and let them implement
Mhm.
has definitely been a challenge. So just navigating that, also like first time business person. I'm going to learn and I'm going to learn from my mistakes and guess what? We'll figure it out.
Completely. And also, like, if in your previous career you like didn't have the opportunity to delegate, and like
Yeah.
lead a team in that specific way, it's just like a completely new skill to even learn.
Right. Yeah, definitely delegating has been very helpful and it's ironic because like I literally have a team that's like especially my front of house staff, they like ask for more responsibilities and more hours and I'm like that doesn't happen everywhere.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
it just proves that they want to be a part of this and like shout out team, like it's just special because I know I have something good and I know I have good people and that care and that's not what everyone's dealing with and I know that. So that is definitely something like yeah, like aside from delegating, I was the person at my old job where everything was dumped on me.
Mhm.
It's like they figured out within like 30 minutes of meeting me in my interview, they're like, "Oh, she has a brain and she is a certified teacher, so we're going to let her do a job and a half."
Completely. Well, and especially if someone gets laid off or anything like that, it's like, okay, you get double the work and no extra pay,
Yeah,
and
they
there's
were like,
no
"Do you wanna
benefit to
teach
anything.
history 5th hour?" No, to hell I don't. No, I sure don't. I sure don't. I literally took things that I'm certified in off of my resume so they could not put me teaching those classes.
Yeah. Yep. I love that.
Yeah.
So, for anyone who's thinking of maybe becoming an entrepreneur, maybe it's starting a fitness studio or whatever it may be, what's some like advice that you would give them?
Have people in your corner that rally the hell behind you
Mhm.
because I think that could truly, with all the self-trust you have and your gut telling you go for it, which is of course one of the biggest things you need to have. Having people behind you, in front of you, on the side of you to also back you up because they also confidently believe in your product and your mission and your passion and your vision is priceless.
Yeah.
That makes me emotional. Like I will never forget the phone call. I called my mom and said, "I think I want to do this." I literally can tell you what I was wearing, where I was in my old house, like, And she kind of was like, okay. There was never a no, but of course there's hesitation. And she knew I was like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. And we're going to do it big.
Right.
We're going to blow it off the water. And then within like a month, the steps started happening and we started picking colors and fonts and things like that. And all the fun stuff started, right?
Right.
And then when it came down to the nitty gritty of like, oh, this shit's expensive. And we're talking about like people's lives on the line and loans and all these things. And I picked up the phone one
Salaries.
day, salaries and not having one.
Mm-hmm.
And like truly not, all these real things. And I said, what if I fail? And not in a financial regard, because they've just let me go. Like they just let me run with it. But she was like, shift your mind, shift your mind, shift your mind. She was like, play big, be the best.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, I'm capable of those things. I am capable of being the best. I really am.
Yep.
Not we are.
Completely.
We are 100%. And like, I've just kind of run with that, like back to maybe the delusional confidence, but like, I believe it to my core, like we got something really good and we're on track to be the best. So I love it. So go for it. I think I am a broken record with every entrepreneur out there of like, just take that leap of faith. But the second step is definitely having people in your corner, like your ultimate hype people, right? Like what does hype mean to you? It's like people that got you when you don't got you.
Yep. Because the self-doubt never goes away. It really doesn't. And I remember like I was listening to a podcast and it was like, I think Beyonce was being interviewed by Oprah. And even at the end of her interview with Oprah, she was like, was that okay? Like just making sure. And it's like the self-doubt never goes away.
Never goes away.
You have to keep shifting yourself back into that confidence and surrounding yourself with other people who are like, no, you got this.
Yeah, 100%. And that's been one of my missions for 2024 is to connect not only with other business owners, because 2023 was just getting my feet on the ground, right? Like head above water. And this year is not only building like the immediate circle around me with like family and best friends and you guys, but like now people that are genuinely going through the same day-to-day operations as I am, not only just with business owners, but I'm diving deeper and really making it a mission to connect with female fitness studio owners. And I know you're doing the same in your industry and it's definitely inspirational. And you've been such a lifeline in business for me too. But at the end of the day, like my best friend owns a dairy-free vegan ice cream shop in Portland and they are popping off, and I call her all the time and she's sometimes like, my food expertise can only get you so far. And she's always pushed me like, get in your industry. And so this year, we're 3 months in and I'm like, my network has already broadened tremendously just because you got to put yourself out there and find other women doing the same thing you're doing to also have your back, and you got to have theirs.
I love that. Okay, well, we're coming to a close here, but I'm going to ask you the final 3 interview questions that I ask every single person. So the first one is, what does your perfect ideal day look like?
My perfect ideal day, waking up without an alarm, waking up, eating a bagel and being able to spend time with my dogs and taking time in the morning to just kind of slow down. I've always been the person to wake up with my alarm and run out the house like hot out of hell. And be able to go into work at whatever time I freaking want, teach a couple classes, check in on my people, be able to run the business and be able to pick up and go whenever I want.
Yep. I love that. I love that a bagel was included in that.
It can't not be.
Okay, number 2, what is your mantra?
My mantra, I was recently asked this and it made me really think. I've been holding on to this one. Success is a series of small wins. And so we're really big at that with the business of just shouting out even the smallest of victories, because a victory is a victory and they're worth celebrating, whether we do something like a milestone that you were talking about earlier, or even just on the work side where hyping up our people, someone accomplished something, no matter how big or small, it's riding that wave and that slow build right now for me. So the small steps are getting us there. And I'm holding on to that.
I love that. Okay. Number 3, what does wealth mean to you?
Wealth means I definitely feel like old Sarah would have answered that in a more financial sense. But it's funny now, I happily share, I do make less than I was as an educator, but somehow that's shifted the definition of that word for me.
Yeah.
I think wealth is being able to wake up and take on the day with a positive outlook and being ready to handle what's coming at it in a genuine, happy place. Like for the first time in my life, I'm like, just that simple word, happy. I'm like, I'm happy.
No.
I'm happy. And I'm trusting that all the cherries on tops and the bells and whistles with the finances are going to fall into place because I've been able to take a step back and watch the slow build happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that the term financial wealth will come into place if I keep just riding this wave of happiness. So
I love that.
yeah.
Well, this was absolutely fabulous. Where can everyone find you? Where can everyone find the fitness studio?
Yes, come check us out. If you're visiting, we got tourist specials. If you're in New Orleans, we got great hookups for you. We're downtown in the CBD on South Rampart. Everybody give us a follow on Instagram at Hype House Fitness. Hype House is spelled the German way. It's a tribute to my dad, HYPEHAUS Fitness. And I hope everyone comes gets hype with us because if you're not, you're missing out.
I will say that is the truth. Like literally, anytime I'm back in NOLA, I'm like, I need to go to Hype House.
Yeah, our new tagline is it's hard to leave Hype House pissed off, man.
So freaking true. And it really is. Like I'll go in there super tired, like, I don't want to work out. But you get in there, the energy, you're like, let's freaking go. And that's, what more could you want?
Yeah, it's good vibes.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Olivia. You're doing great things. Everyone's so proud of you. So keep up the good work.
Thank you so much for listening to Wanderlust Wealth Show. Now, don't forget to follow the podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you love this episode, it would literally mean the world to me if you shared this with a friend or a family member, or literally anyone off of the street. Right now, go ahead, share it so you don't forget, or post it on social media and make sure to tag me. I love seeing what you're listening in on and what you resonated with, and I'm just so freaking thankful for you. I'm so freaking excited for you. I love you, and don't forget, life really doesn't have to be hard.